Greetings, this is Canon Louie, and if you are new here, I am that guy that makes Arknights Story Clips. So I take moments from the Arknights story, either through the events or the main story, and make them into 3 minutes or less videos. And recently I had reached my 6 months of doing these Arknights Story Clips. For this channel, I did not start doing Arknights Story Clips right away. So, with the Chapter 9 Jessica video, that is when I consider when I fully dedicated this channel to making story clips with this comment on the right. So, I wanted to make a video to celebrate going through 6 whole months of doing Arknights Story Clips and look at a few of them that I really enjoyed. And I would have done this sooner, but episode 10 happened, and it ended up being an entire week shorter than I was expecting, and Spectre Alter event is happening right now, so yeah, that happened. So I picked out around 5 story clips that I want to take a brief look at and explain my thought process when looking at these story clips and the editing that I've done to some of them. So if you want to see the story clips that I am looking at today, I will put them in the video description so you can view them in their entirety and without my commentary. So, without further ado, the first clip that I want to take a look at is from Invitation to Wine, and it is titled, Lee Finds Out About Miss Ning. And a few things that I forgot to mention earlier is that there are a few miscellaneous things that I have done over the past 6 months that I do want to briefly mention after taking a look at these story clips. So, starting this one, so Lee is talking to his friend Liang, and he says to his good friend, glad to see you're still the type to never ever hold a woman. And that was just perfect for this edit right here. Because when I first read that, I had to really look at this for a good few moments, because I was like, did Lee really just say that to his good friend? And then this edit right here, I found through looking for the scene that was requested to me. Kelsit is done putting up with W in, I think it was chapter 7 of the main story, or episode 7. I don't know why it's called episodes in the main story when everyone calls them chapters, but anyway, I found this, and this dialogue, and this also has like the Kelsit raised eyebrow expression. You have to go down a specific dialogue path to even find this, so I thought this was perfect for that scene. Just imagine going up to your best friend and say, hey buddy, I hope you never find a spouse throughout your entire life. I hope that you stay single through the rest of your life. Just, who says that? That sounds so mean. And then later on in the scene, Miss Ning decides to show up and introduce, well, without knowing that Lee was there, and Lee they both introduce each other, and Lee just explain. mighty fine coworker you have over at this hour. He's just like, how dare you? So it's just... This is just one of those things where the dialogue is just... I don't even remember there being, like, any precedence for this. Like, Lee just goes out and says this to him. Wow. But yeah, Invitation to Wine definitely had quite a few good moments that I enjoyed. So this was just one of the ones that stood out to me. That it was just like, Lee, why? The second clip that I want to take a look at is actually one of my older clips that is from Near Light, and I have it titled Roy Likes Platinum Too. I do remember that I wasn't very confident in the title, but this scene, well, was about Roy and Monarchy opening up a store. So, you're opening a store? Or opening up a shop? Are you blind? But, and then Platinum mentions it's about hand sanitizer. But what really got to me was that, yeah, this line right here. So, Roy was saying, by the way, why don't you come and be our poster girl? Since we're missing a clerk anyway, you're very good looking. It'll be perfect. So, and in Pinus Silvestris, Platinum actually states that she is very good looking herself. So, Roy going out and saying that as well was pretty hilarious. But what really made this scene special to me is that Monarchy, like after he says this, Monarchy's like, and then I put in their custom dialogue of asking if she was jealous. And I thought it was just perfect because of how Monarchy acted. I thought that was a great additional line at the end that that was a good way to end the clip. And as a fun fact, the very first scene that I added any what I call custom dialogue that's just what I refer to when I put in my own dialogue lines, was the scene titled Lazarite Roy Like Shining ? Explanation point. That was my very first scene in Near Light ever to put in custom dialogue, and so this, to some extent, was a sort of a sequel to that. And I don't really put custom dialogue in too many scenes, actually. And this is something that I decided very early on, was that I wanted, for each of the story clips that I do for videos, is to leave most of them unedited. And the reason being is because I feel like I wanted the story clips, the story moments of Arknights to speak for themselves. And if I do add to it, I make sure that I have an inspiration on either a custom dialogue line or an edit or something that I feel that adds to the scene, rather than just adding edits for the sake of adding edits. So, you might not see very many custom dialogue lines from me, but hopefully when I do add them, it makes the scenes even more special for you. So, moving on to the next one. This third scene that I have is titled Doctor Adjusts Radatos's Collar. So this video, or this clip, was actually requested to me during the Break the Ice initial run, and I missed the comment. Either I read it and didn't realize that it was a clip request, or I didn't see the comment entirely. I don't recall which one necessarily it was, but either way, I decided to... I actually got requested this later on during the Contingency Contract 8, and I decided to go ahead and do this one because I thought it would be a fun one to do that I missed. And surprisingly, even though that Break the Ice was done, I was actually very surprised on how popular this clip was. So how the scene starts is that Radatos and Arktoses, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but they talk about Arktoses would, if it wasn't for the Doctor, he would be facing off against Silver Ash and stuff. So what really made this one special for me to take a look at is that you get these dialogue choices, and as the title suggests, you can choose to adjust her collar for her. So basically, you can the Doctor tries to reassure Radatos that he is on her side to help her out, or at least to go against Silver Ash and bring order back to things. So choosing this line here, she's just very surprised, which, I mean, why wouldn't you? But I decided to add in a few custom dialogue lines on this one, and I'll leave it at 60 for the volume, so hopefully you can hear it, or if you just want to search up the clip for yourself through the description. So once getting near the end, one more time, without me talking, sorry. So the reason why I added these two lines in afterward was that I thought it would be a funny idea to think about if another character from Rhode Island was in this room with these characters when the Doctor was doing this. Like the idea of having an operator make fun of the Doctor for making this move. And this was soon after I brought out, or I made the revealed and made the forgetting how to speak here, the operator lines for my original character named Loey. So this was soon after this, and anyone who was interested in that content to learn more about the original character that I made, I thought this would be a really funny moment to have, like, a line from him, and then afterward, as you can see here, Dusk smacks him for saying this, and I thought that was a really funny way to end it. Even though that if you didn't watch or read anything on my original character, that wouldn't have made any sense. But he has eventually a friend of Dusk, so that's why Dusk is the one who smacks him here. So I thought that was a really funny way to end off that clip there, and with that many people viewing this clip, and I thought it would be maybe fairly popular just because of the dialogue choices for the Doctor, especially with Sense Break the Ice. They really nailed the Doctor optional dialogue choices. Even though they don't really make any difference for the overall narrative, you can get some pretty funny reactions from some of the characters for some individual lines. So it did seem that there were a few comments that were wondering why Dusk was there and everything, and that's why. It's because of if Lowy was there, Dusk would probably be the one to deal with him, or Nyan. So that was my thought process on that, and hopefully it made the scene even better. The fourth scene that I have for today is actually my second ever story clip video that I've ever made, and I thought this was a pretty good throwback video to put in this list. So my very first story clip video that I've ever done was the video called NPC Asks Calcit an Important Question, and this was my second ever story clip video that was after that. And this was roughly, I want to say, like roughly 6 months after the very first one, or at least like 4 to 6 months, I want to say, in between that very first one and doing this one. So this was before I completely dedicated this channel to doing story clips, and I'll explain everything once we go through a little bit of this at the end of this scene. So this one is Mandragora gets destroyed in her own introduction scene, or her own intro. And going through episode 10, they definitely made Mandragora, in my opinion, a much better character with what happens in episode 10. I don't recall her really standing out too much for me in episode 9. But with episode 10, I think they definitely made her a lot better. So this scene is Mandragora talks with Hermione. So Mandragora basically talks about how Hermione doesn't really care about anyone. She pretty much does whatever she feels like. So Mandragora is talking about her attitude, and she doesn't view nobles very highly. So she talks about how basically nobles like hang their achievements, or instruments, I'm guessing could be a metaphor for achievements. Like, nobles put like a reputation that they have and put it in front of everyone, but they really don't have anything of value, or at least that's how I'm not seeing anything seeing for this. So Hermione says, "I'll take having a window to fill over having nothing of anything inside or out, wouldn't you say?" So Hermione admits that to Mandragora's talk, but she springs it back and be like, "Mandragora, you don't have anything." and I thought that was that was a very good roast moment. Especially because at the very start of this was the very first scene that Mandragora gets introduced, or at the very least, like, this is the first scene that shows her face. So at the very start here, you see that she's black, her face is blacked out, and then they reveal what Mandragora's face looks like and everything. So I thought this was a very funny introduction to a main villain of a main story episode, is just to have them, you know, be roasted by their peers. and of course Mandragora doesn't really have any comebacks to that. and her surprise face is pretty great. But yeah, after seeing episode 10, they definitely really did a good job on flushing out her, explaining why she thinks the way she does, and the reason why she does various different things, her backstory and mentality and stuff that I don't recall episode 9 explaining very well. But I thought that was a very good one, and a throwback to a very old story clip. So the very last story clip that I have for this video is the Artosis "How Dare You" clip during Break the Ice once again. And this video took me a very long time to finish, because this is by far my most ambitious individual video that I've ever done, that I put a lot of work into. And once we get started into it, I guess I can leave it at 60. So he asks what you want him to call the doctor, and you can have him say your player name, or you can have him say, "Call me doctor." And if you choose to the character your player name option, he basically makes fun of it. Oh, that's a funny name, or unusual name. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to make a video like this, where I put this was a sprite that I found during Break the Ice, that it has the doctor's hood blacked out, and I edited around it to make it look like that I could put it in any scene. So with the custom dialogue, so I put, "Excuse me?" You, Dr. Cannon Louie cracks his knuckles. "You want to say that again, neckbeard?" So this is basically the path of what would happen if the doctor really took offense to that, and everything. And so going to the end here, you can really go at him here, and then I put at the end, "Don't make me send Dr. Kelsit out here." So yeah, definitely I thought would be the perfect opportunity to make a video like this, of having a lot of custom dialogue, as well as putting in a sprite that is normally not there, and everything. And the primary reason why this clip in particular took so much work was that if you've noticed that there is kind of like a gradual darkening near the tops and bottoms of the story user interface when you read the story in Arknights. And normally, obviously, when you're reading, that's not a big deal. Doesn't really do a whole lot. But when it comes to editing in sprites that are not supposed to be there, it is a huge pain in the butt to get it to look right. And in this side here, you can probably tell, if you look closely, in this spot right here, that was edited. That was essentially photoshopped. And over here is a little bit lighter than it should be. So the problem is that how I did this was essentially put a background of this environment without the characters in them. But the problem is that doesn't have the darkened tops and bottoms that the story scenes themselves have. So because of that, it makes it so that when I try, I had to edit out the sprite that was here to put this over it, and then the spots that, because the Doctor is actually fairly thin compared to Artosis, for an example, I had to figure out ways to make it look as natural as I could possibly get it, and it seemed to have a pretty good result. But at the same time, though, figuring out how to deal with that disparity there with the darkened ends took me so much time to figure out how to make it work, well, not make it look as good as I could get it without being distracting. And for the result, I think it turned out pretty decent. So like, for an example, like this spot right here, I needed to... That is why that looks a little bit messed up, because that was where Artosis's bag is and stuff like that. So, and then thankfully this I got from, of course, a story scene, so it already had the gradual darkening on the end here for the Doctor sprite there with the blackened top there. So definitely, out of all the videos that I've made, this is the one that I am most proud of because of how much work I put into it, as well as many it seemed like so many people definitely enjoyed it, and I did make community posts and stuff before I had put this video out, of letting you all know that I was making this video beforehand and everything, because I wanted to make a this was the perfect opportunity to see what I could do, essentially, and I think it turned out very well. And I did a similar thing to the episode 10 clip, where it was how the tables have turned. I put the Doctor sprite in that scene as well at the very end, and that was equally it was time consuming to get that one to look right as well, because of that gradual darkening areas. So yeah, that definitely a big reason why I don't usually put I think I've only had like 2 clips, this one and the how the tables have turned clip, where I actually edited in a sprite that wasn't normally there for custom dialogue. Thankfully, I did figure out the font sizes for the custom dialogue, so that's actually really, really fast for me to do when I focus on it. So it's just the putting sprites where they're not supposed to be that's so time consuming. So yeah, and everything is just I'm really happy with how this video turned out, and that equally so that it did get a good amount of attention as well, because even though that it wasn't one of my most popular clips, I was kind of worried of, to some extent, of putting all this work in and then not have it be viewed by very many people. Break the Ice currently has some of the clips that have been viewed the most on my entire channel, so definitely one of those events that helped me out and had quite a few good moments with the doctor dialogue.